All right, so when it comes to these WrestleMania storylines, I do want to make this clear that I'm only doing the ones that are solidified. So not the potential of Braun versus Dom versus Penta versus Finn. Too much there. We don't really know what's going to be happening. If Finn's going to turn on Dom, if Dom's going to turn on Finn. We don't really know what's going to happen with Penta. If he's going to actually join Judgment Day. We don't know what's going to be happening with Braun. So we don't really know what's going to be happening and all this stuff. Lyra versus Becky. We don't even know that's going to be happening. We assume it's going to happen. It might be Lyra versus Bayley now. It might be Lyra versus Roxanne. It might be Lyra versus Bayley and Roxanne. It might be Lyra versus Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? So that one I'm not going to talk about. Same thing with LA Knight. Same thing with Chelsea Green. Same thing with any of the tag teams, even though New Day have said they wanted to get a match at WrestleMania. Again, we don't know any of these dang matches are going to be happening. We just know they're likely going to be happening at WrestleMania. But the 8 that I have are all solidified. These are already said to be at WrestleMania. There's graphic cards and all that stuff for them. So number 8, the worst storyline of these 8, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Bianca Belair. The storyline is absolute hot dog water. You did not need to do this triple threat this way. I feel like we forced the heck out of it. You had Rhea and Bianca getting into it when Rhea and Io were facing. Why did we not just call the match there? Call for the DQ win. Io Sky wins, but she doesn't win the belt. That causes Io Sky to get upset with Bianca. Rhea Ripley would be upset with Bianca, but Io Sky would also be upset with Rhea Ripley as well because she had the history of Rhea Ripley getting involved in her last match. So now she's gonna snap and go off on her. Rhea Ripley's gonna snap and go off on her because obviously she's going off on her. So you got to go off somebody that's going off on you. This allows for Rhea and Io to go into WrestleMania being both technically heels. We also have Bianca Belair, who is the face, and that way, if Bianca Belair does beat either Io Sky or Rhea Ripley, if Bianca Belair pins Io Sky or Rhea Ripley, it wouldn't be as bad because I do believe that Io Sky is probably going to lose, and it's going to suck if she does lose, even though I do want Bianca Belair to win, and I don't really mind a transitional champion. I just feel like this probably isn't the best way to do the whole transitional champion thing. So it does kind of like, why would you do this with Io? But if you had Rhea retaining the belt against Io, then you have Bianca Belair pinning Io Sky or potentially pinning Rhea Ripley, then it's not as bad because then you could run Bianca versus Io at Backlash. And there is always the potential that you could have Bianca beat Rhea Ripley, or you could have Io beat Rhea Ripley in that, or pin, not beat, could have Bianca pin Rhea or Io pin Rhea. That would be set up to Io versus Bianca at Backlash with Io going in as a champion. There is that potential. But man, we have just done so many different ways to get into this dang match. Now we're having Rhea Ripley steal contracts and then getting a rematch, even though that's because I guess that's what she's wanted the entire time. But she's been doing all this stuff, and Adam Pearce has been trying to get her. And it's just, oh my gosh, man! Now they're having a dang rematch with Bianca Belair as a special guest referee for no dang reason because. It's just, oh man, this storyline is frustrating. I'm sorry, this storyline is so frustrating. It's so forced. I feel like there were like 10 other ways that we could have went about this that were all just so much easier. We did not need this to happen. Oh my gosh. Heck, we didn't even need Rhea Ripley to get involved in the Liv Morgan Io Sky match. I don't know why the heck we had that happen. So it's just, oh man, this storyline is a whole mess. I love the thought of getting Bianca versus Io versus Rhea. It's a pretty cool match because they're 3 of your biggest women, but I'm going to be honest, Rhea did not need to be in this match either. Bianca and Io would have been absolute fire in this match. Adding Rhea Ripley does nothing for it other than give us a Bianca versus Rhea standoff or face-off, and then they're going to be going at each other. They'll probably have Io shine as well because of the fact that Bianca and Rhea are going to be so focused on each other. That's probably what's going to cost Io. That's probably what's going to have Io Sky win the match. She's going to be able to probably pin Rhea Ripley, and then she will likely face Io versus, it will likely be Io versus Bianca at Backlash, where Bianca likely will win. It just sucks that Bianca's probably going to lose her WrestleMania streak because I would like to see her actually hold that for a few years so that when somebody does beat her, it's like a new up-and-coming talent or it's somebody that really, really deserves this win because they are going to become like a big star. I would love to see that instead of just, Io Sky or Rhea Ripley being the ones to actually get the win because neither of them need to beat her undefeated streak. It's the same thing with Undertaker when he lost his undefeated streak. It was against Brock Lesnar. It just didn't really feel that good in my opinion. So, yeah, no. But number 7, I have Jey Uso versus Gunther. This feud started off absolutely horrible. This was such a bad feud, but they have cleaned it up this past Monday by adding Jimmy Uso to it, by having Jimmy basically call out Jey Uso and say that he's choking under pressure and all that stuff, which now cleans up a lot of things that have been happening with Jey constantly getting attacked by Gunther and not realizing that he's going to be attacking him from behind. Then you have Jey Uso not being able to get over the ropes, doing a weird crossbody spear, then not being able to do a spear on Gunther. So I do like the addition of Jimmy Uso. It's actually made the storyline a whole lot better. If it was an F before, it's definitely like a C+ storyline now. I will say, though, because of the fact that the first couple of weeks were just so bad, in my opinion, that's where it's just like, it's just like, no, this storyline, I can't give it anything higher than number 7's position. It would just be unfair to the other storylines above it. But with the addition of Jimmy Uso, I do believe that this Jay versus Gunther storyline is going to be so much better going into WrestleMania now, to the point where it actually might get to main event WrestleMania. But it's also pretty interesting because both Jay and Seth Rollins have basically come out and said that they don't care about getting the main event of WrestleMania. They just want to, they just want to be on the card, which kind of makes me wonder if they are really going to be having Rhea versus Bianca versus Io be the main event. I would have loved to see that, but I just feel like Jay versus Gunther, if the storyline does start cooking in the way that Rhea and Bianca and Io is going, you probably got to have Jay versus Gunther be the main event, which is crazy because I just said like an episode or two ago that I think Jay versus Gunther shouldn't even main event. It's crazy how an opinion could just change that quickly because like just few dang things. Now, next up, we have Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. This word opinion can also change, but for right now, I'm going to have it in the 6th position. This storyline, it started off really dang smoking hot at Elimination Chamber. Then it went to Cody promo on SmackDown, then Cody promo on Raw, Cody promo on SmackDown, then Cody promo against John Cena on Raw, then Cody promo against John Cena on Raw. 2 back-to-back weeks where John Cena has not said nothing. We ain't seen The Rock come out. Cody still ain't asked John Cena why the heck he was whooping his ass at Elimination Chamber. Like, there was no point in that. I don't know why he hasn't asked him anything about that. So, well, there was a point in that, but there was no point for him to really beat him up, though. If John Cena's whole thing is that he's against the crowd, why you beat up Cody for? Was he just collateral damage? So, yeah, I would have loved just a lot more from this storyline. I feel like with your 2 top guys, with the passing of the torch from John Cena to Cody Rhodes, you would think that this would be like just a much better storyline going into WrestleMania. You feel like, because it's already been 5 shows now. It's been about, I want to say 4 weeks since, no, it's been 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks now, but it's been like just, it's been about 5 shows now. It's like, dude, come on, man. We need to get more from this dang storyline. We need to get something from it. You've tried doing little things in here with The Miz and all that stuff, and it's not been hitting for me. I understand that John Cena's, going against what the fans want him to do, but dude, John Cena needs to be going off on Cody. There needs to be some back and forth between these guys. It's just, no. For me, right now, I'm just not even invested in this storyline anymore. I wish they would, do a bit more with it. I wish they would have John Cena kind of go at Cody Rhodes a bit more. I'm assuming, though, John Cena is probably going to say that he doesn't even hate Cody Rhodes and that he has nothing against them and that this is all just against the fans, and Cody Rhodes kind of just in the way because he's also the guy that represents the fans, so that's why he's going at Cody. That's why he did beat up Cody, because he's taking out all his frustrations from them onto Cody, who, again, kind of symbolizes the fans in a sense. So, again, I'm not mad at the storyline. I think it's been fine, but it's just not been anywhere near better than anything before it, or anything over it, in my opinion. Which the next one is Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. This is number 5. John Cena and Cody Rhodes was number 6. Number 5, though, this is another one of those 4 storylines, but at least it makes somewhat sense because now you start adding in the whole thing with Roman Reigns obviously upset with CM Punk for taking him out of the dang Rumble. At least we've seen a brawl between these guys as well. That's what kind of puts this over the John Cena Cody Rhodes storyline. We just have not seen any fists be thrown between either of these guys, and we got like the whole just 5-year-long promo about this guy with the whole fans and all that stuff. So yeah, no. And then the thing this past episode, the whole Summer of Punk thing they're gonna be kind of doing with him. I like it, but not the most. It was nah. But Roman, Seth, Punk, at least they've been throwing fists with each other. At least there's been some kind of build up between CM Punk and Seth. I've already said before that I would have liked this just to be a one-on-one. I don't really care for the triple threat match. There's too many multi-matches at Mania this year. I would prefer for this just to be the one-on-one between the two. Maybe have Roman go with Drew. That would have been a lot better in my opinion. Because there is better routes, that's why I have this one a lot lower than the other 4 above it. And because it kind of just feels like very last second, you just needed something for Roman to do, but you also need something for Damian and Drew to do. And you didn't want to do Roman versus Damian versus Drew, but you also don't want to have Damian not be in the card, even though you could have had Damian Priest easily as being the U.S. Championship picture, but you kind of still want to push him as like a World Heavyweight Champion, because I'm assuming if Jay does win, the World Heavyweight Championship is going to go to SmackDown, and whether John Cena or Cody wins, it's going to go on over to Raw. That's why Cody's been on Raw so much. So I'm assuming they're going to end up doing that, and that's why they want to keep Damian in like the top spot picture, so against guys like Drew McIntyre instead of being in the U.S. picture, because then when they push him back to being in like the World Heavyweight Champion position, whether it's actually getting the belt or it's, going against somebody for the belt, he still looks like one of the main event guys, So I understand why they did Damian versus Drew. I would have preferred Damian either A, to not be in a match at all, or B, to be in some other big storyline and not be against Drew McIntyre, because Roman versus Drew would have just been 10 times better, especially because you were literally building up to that match as well. Now at number 4, speaking of Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest. This storyline, even though I said I would prefer the other 2 storylines, or I would have preferred the other ways, Drew and Damian has actually been really dang good. Drew's been blaming Damian basically ever since last year for everything he's been doing, for cashing in on him, for the match at Clash at the Castle. Then he's blaming him for the Money in the Bank match as well. He's also blaming him now for for John Cena going heel, because had he, just not pinned Drew McIntyre, even though it was Elimination Chamber and you gotta pin somebody, had he not pinned him, Drew could have won. Drew would have been the corporate champion. John Cena would still be a good guy, even though sorry, Drew McIntyre, it's not really how it works, but yeah, I do like the story of this. It's pretty dang good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the back and forth between these guys. I like how they're both just it's been a lot of straight hands. Not the most talking, but there has been some talking there. But it's been a lot of straight hands for the most part of it. I'm assuming though this might not even happen at WrestleMania. That's my only reason why I don't have it any higher, because it feels like it's going to happen at WrestleMania. They keep talking about WrestleMania with this match. I just don't see this match going to WrestleMania unless they have like a 1v1 match before Mania and then they have like a street fight at WrestleMania. I can see that happening, but I don't know. So unless this match is 100%, and mind you, I know I said the other matches I wouldn't talk about, those matches are very big hypotheticals. This is an actual match that we have set in stone. We just don't know where the heck it's going to be happening at, but I assume it's going to be at WrestleMania. It would make no... It's probably going to be like at least 2 matches going into... or at least 1 match going into WrestleMania, potentially 2 matches going into WrestleMania, but... yeah, no, I can't put it any higher just because of that reasoning, because I actually would put this over my number 3, which is Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, just because this one... Randy Orton and Kevin Owens has been kind of, for about, since December, November now? So, my bad, I had to grab some water. But when it comes to this Randy Orton, Kevin Owens storyline, my biggest issue with it is that Randy Orton said, let's do this at WrestleMania. It's like, okay, we knew it was going to happen there, but I feel like you could have held off on that, because now I have to say, can this storyline potentially get stale? Because it's 3-4 weeks still. It feels like the storyline is already at its absolute peak. We have Randy Orton wanting to punt kick Kevin Owens. I worry that maybe it starts getting a bit stale. This is why I do like that Drew and Damian and Naomi Jade haven't said, let's have the match at WrestleMania. Instead, what they said is, just straight hands. That's all it's really been. I wish that Randy Orton and Kevin Owens would have kind of been more straight hands as well. It does feel like a lot of these storylines going into WrestleMania are going to suffer because of the fact that WrestleMania is in the middle, or really the late part of April. Had this been like April 5th, April 1st, somewhere around there, I think it would have been a lot better, because then you wouldn't have to keep stretching out a lot of these storylines, which a lot of them are going to get stretched out. And I think that's what's going to hurt WrestleMania season the most, is the fact that a lot of these have to get so stretched out. Like if you look back at like Cody Rhodes for a minute, Cody Rhodes said one promo on Friday, then went on Monday and said basically the exact same thing, plus a little extra that he could have just said on Friday. Then the following Friday, this guy has a whole thing with The Miz, says like 2 words to John Cena that he literally could have said on Monday, that he also literally could have said on Friday. But because it's so far into April, they're having to stretch it out a lot, and that's what's going to hurt this storyline and all these storylines going into WrestleMania. Number 2, though, let's go into that one. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This storyline has been absolutely phenomenal. I will say the way that they handled the whole like reveal and all that stuff, you kind of were playing around with it. You probably should have been letting us know that it's Naomi just a little bit more, at least having a little more heel tactics from Naomi, or at least having some like sociopathic character for Naomi when it comes to Bianca Belair. Just a bit more like just overly protective of her, overly praising her, stuff like that. It would have been better if you had done that. But ever since the Naomi Bianca promo, I think it's just been fantastic. You had Jade Cargill come out and attack Naomi, I think, upon 2 different occasions. And you had Naomi get her get back on Jade. Although, no, it was one time, right? Yeah, no, it was one time because then they had the match. It was a Jade and Liv's match, and then Naomi came out and attacked her with the caution tape and all that stuff. That was super dang funny as well because of the fact that obviously Jade would have caution tape wrapped around her, but all that stuff with the whole accident. Oh, not the accident. That definitely was not no accident. That was attempted murder. But Naomi coming out with the caution tape and all that was pretty dang cool. I did like that. So there's a lot of those little things that I really like there with the storyline, and that's why I do believe that this is the second best storyline going into WrestleMania. But number 1 is easily Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair. Look it, I am not a Tiffany Stratton fan by any means. Everybody knows this by now if you've been listening to the podcast. But I will say that Tiffany Stratton has done just enough to make this storyline not have to be fully carried by Charlotte Flair, because it really is carried by Charlotte Flair in the sense of like she's the veteran, she's looking at Tiffany Stratton, and she's almost a bit jealous in the sense that Tiffany is what she was, in that, you know, Tiffany's not probably going to be that, and Tiffany's getting a lot of the love that she never got. So I do like that Tiffany Stratton is playing into that stuff, that, you know, you're not getting any love and you just want to be me and all that stuff. I really, really do like that. Then you have Charlotte Flair kind of just trying to put her in her place a bit and really put her down as much as she possibly can, because she is trying to break Tiffany Stratton so that, you know, in a, like, not in a literal sense, but in the figurative sense, she quits. Because it kind of plays into like the whole thing that Charlotte did with Rhea Ripley, where Charlotte beat Rhea, and there was a whole thing of like Rhea Ripley was apparently depressed, and it really just made her want to quit wrestling. They're basically, if that's not a true storyline, which I mean, if that's not a true thing, I think now they're grabbing that and saying, let's do it with Charlotte and Tiffany. Let's have Charlotte just beat down Tiffany as much as she can, try to break her, and then potentially have Tiffany Stratton win at WrestleMania. Although I would be more in favor of Charlotte Flair winning, but that's just me. Overall, though, I think the story has been actually really dang good. I've loved the brawl, that past brawl they had where Tiffany hit the moonsault and all that stuff. It was really, really dang good. I think that was after the B-Fab match. So that one has been just absolutely carrying the top cards when it comes to like the top card championships and all that. I've absolutely loved it. And I think overall, the stuff has been pretty good from, you know, the road to WrestleMania. There's been some things that have been kind of just whatever, but I feel like overall, it hasn't been the worst by any means. I do worry for these next 4 weeks, though, and what could happen. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen. I'm hoping that all these storylines, you know, just continue to be as good as they possibly can going into WrestleMania, so that at least when we have the matches at WrestleMania, and the matches are going to be pretty dang good, which they all should be pretty dang good matches, some of them being absolutely fantastic matches. See, I didn't say phenomenal. We switched up our F words this time. Don't switch up your F words, though. Please, most people, don't switch up your F words. Don't do that. But I'm really hoping that because the matches are going to be as good as they possibly can be, that maybe all of this stuff, we kind of just like, you know what? It wasn't the greatest build-up, but because the matches are so dang good, and when we look back on it in like 10 years, everything is just as good as it possibly can be.